Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is SUBCHVRGE, and today I'm going to walk you through my project for my remix of Excision and Whale's collab The Last Time. I'm going to leave the link to my remix on SoundCloud down in the description below, so you can go ahead and feel free to check that out. But for now, let's hop into the project and I'll show you how I remix this song. Okay, so here we are inside of Ableton. There are a few groups that I used to remix this song. First of all, a majority of my remixes I like to keep pretty bare bones and true to the original song, so I don't really do too much around differentiating the intro sections and builds and whatnot. So the original song right here is Excision and Whale's The Last Time with Riel, who's an incredible vocalist. Starting down here, we have a reverby intro. So what I did with this was I took the original intro of the song, cut it up, and then used the Bass Clef's Easy Washout tool. I talk about this a lot in other videos. Essentially, it's just a plethora of different types of delays, filtering, compression, and EQ, reverb, and basically just washes out your sound. You can use it for anything. I use it a lot on like on build-ups and stuff in songs. So like for instance this this little synth pluck I have up here, which we'll get into in a second. If you just apply a crap ton of washout to it, the dry sound does have a lot of reverb on it, but basically just adding a lot more reverb and delay. Yeah, it kind of creates an atmosphere out of pretty much anything. So I just applied that that effect to the intro and came up with this. And then added a little bit more reverb right here. I have this sitting at 11.8. This is a forest floor reverb, and I use this as a send track. So basically the difference between a send track, I've explained it on the channel before, but I'll just go ahead and do it really quickly again. The difference between applying a reverb to a track, like if I were just to apply reverb to this sound right here, it basically just applies reverb to the sound. When you use a send track, it uses the dry signal of the sound in addition to the effect, so it's kind of like stacked on top of one another. So I have that. So I have that for reverb right here for A, and I have a saturator preset called rectifier right here for my saturator send. And I got that idea from an old Company or Woolly live stream. I don't recall exactly whose idea it was, but yeah. Anyways, hopping into the next part right here, it's basically just a lot of effects and drums in this section. I used a few things from my sample pack, the Magic Stick Volume 1, which you can also check out in the description. Here's some effects and such from there. And yeah, there's also a little bit of white noise right here. Yeah, that's from a cymatics pack, but basically just kind of creating a semi-atmospheric, almost cinematic intro right here. And then yeah, hopping into the 9th bar here. This is a drum loop from the Counts sample pack on Splice called Sequence Drum Loop Swagger 83. I slowed it down just to match the tempo of the song, which is 150. So right here it's 166 because 83 times 2 is 166. And then slowed it down. Well, that basically just put it in time with the rest of the song. We also have some park wind here. Added a little bit more ambience, atmosphere. Stuff like that is really cool for filling up space in a song because it gives it just life, honestly. It makes it not as bare bones. So yeah, those are a lot of the effects. I have a few risers in here, I think like 1 or 2. Yeah, got that one with some nice reverb tail at the end of that. And then a white noise and I think a saw riser somewhat. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention, before I did anything in the song, I pitched the original song down 3 semitones. It's frozen here, but basically the original song was 3 semitones higher, and I just pitched it down 3 because I really liked this key. That's what I like to do with a lot of remixes. I like to pitch them up and down and find a key that I really would like to write in, and this key to me felt the most natural. I think it's G major, I think the key is. I think the original is B flat major. I don't recall exactly, but somewhere around there. Yeah. So anyway, here we go, hopping into the pretty much just the original song right here. And that kind of continues until right about here for the 25th bar. And this is where I have this really cool synth come in. So I have an arpeggiator set to I kind of had to listen to the key of the song and kind of draw chords in around it because I'm not that good with music theory, but I'm halfway decent at kind of just like sounding stuff out and ensuring that the keys or the notes I'm playing are in key. So yeah, I kind of just drew some chords. Yeah, that sounds horrible with the arpeggiator, but when it's played, it kind of acts as like a, you know, a mid 2012 2014 bro step arp. I really like that style as well. But anyway, the arpeggiator, the style is going down. So the notes are going from high to low at a 1/16th rate. So, you know, every 16th note, it's chugga 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 chugga, and it's just, you know, hitting every single time. And then the gate is set to about 80. I felt like that was a pretty good way of kind of getting the tone that I wanted out of the ARP. If I were to set it at any higher, you know, it'd be like a lot more release, and if I were to set it at any lower, it wouldn't have the same effect. So I went for 80. There's still like some kind of white noise trailing off in the back there, but I really liked that in conjunction with how the rest of the song and the effects and basically just how it was mixed into the rest of the stuff in the song. So yeah, I went with that, and that's pretty much the only aspect apart from the effects that I changed about the original. And then we get into some build elements here. I have another cymatic stuff. I was honestly just super lazy with this. I slapped a few Virtual Riot presets in here, some cymatics, risers, and called it good up until the drop. For the build, I added a few claps in here. Just because I felt like with how loud I wanted to do the drop, that there was a bit more elements in the build that needed to be at least at a certain level to flow somewhat effortlessly or seamlessly into the drop. I'm not going to claim it's super seamless, but I just kind of wanted to bridge that gap between the original song and what I had planned for the drop. So yeah, anyway, the claps up here, just acting as build-up claps. Super simple. Yeah, a bit of risers right here just to kind of bring us into the drop here. And then this is the drop. I have it separated into a few different subsections here. I have my drum rack. I'll start here. The drum rack has only a kick and a snare. It's a barely alive kick and a barely alive snare. Easy. But basically what I'm doing here is I'm using also the barely alive method of side chaining. Shout out to Barely Alive. They are incredible producers. But yeah, basically I'm using ShaperBox 2, and this is basically just a sidechain plugin to where you can kind of create any sidechain you want from a MIDI trigger, right? So I have my MIDI right here, my kick and snare in MIDI, and then I have a blank kind of trigger channel right here. So basically what's happening is every time there's a MIDI note here, since I have ShaperBox on the group, the MIDI trigger right here is acting as a MIDI trigger. Who would have thought? And every time that a MIDI note hits here, this group right here is going to be sidechained in this shape. And this group right here has a lot of chords and such. It has the original sound in here as well. I did this to kind of just add a bit more beef to the drums. So without the original song. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. With the original song, it sounds a lot fuller. I didn't really do anything to change the original song. I did some like low-end EQ cuts and some frequency stuff, just to kind of add little differences and variations. But basically just to, make room for, like, I think I have some tom drum fills in here in the drum section. But yeah, let's hop into the chords right here. So we have a Untitled from Lethal, probably one of my favorite sounds out of Lethal. If you don't have Lethal audio, go pick it up. It's incredible. It's a fantastic rompler that you can use for pretty much any sort of music production. There's hip hop stuff, there's trance stuff, there's a bunch of different expansions. It's really cool. Anyway, so for this one, I have the Untitled, added some OTT on it. I think I messed with the sustain and decay a little bit. EQ, just to kind of carve out some super harsh high-end frequencies. Hard 100 cut, just to get rid of any subs. And then used some utility, gain automation, to kind of act as a another manual sort of sidechain. So without it, and then with it, yeah, utility using gain automation does wonders for just different types of flows in your patterns. Really works well. I highly recommend it, and it's stock Ableton, so it's free. Yeah, next down here we have Lethal again, with the Eclo Bell preset right here. Really nice, kind of just like MIDI, not MIDI, but like mid-layer bell sound to kind of fill out the track. The width on this is bumped down to 72% because I felt like it was just a little wide. And then I filtered it a bit as well, so without the filter. Yeah, you can hear the difference. So yeah, I filtered that. Coming down here into Serum, this is just a kind of future bassy Serum patch right here. It's a really cool kind of almost 8-bit sound, used as a background element, but it's still very present in the mix because it's compressed pretty heavily. The arpeggiator is doing a lot of the work here, so without the arpeggiator. And with the arpeggiator, that kind of turns it into the 8-bit sound. It's set at 1/48th, which means super de-duper fast, as you heard. The gate is also set around 80-81. The patch itself is just super basic. It's a square wave and a saw wave. Saw wave is down -1. Unison is at 16 for both. The detune is 0.10 here, and the detune on the saw is 0.18. No real other adjustments were made. I guess I could put this on trigger, but it doesn't really matter. The compressor is set to multiband, and we have about 10 dB of gain right there, which is already pumping the sound up quite a bit. If I were to take that off, it would probably sound a lot different. Yeah, you can tell a lot. That multiband compressor does a lot. Anyway, just to slam it a little bit more, we have some OTT set to about 7 or 8 dB of gain. I had a little bit of trouble dialing this in, but just decided to set it right there. Slam the time up to 1000%, and then again, just kind of like messing with the amount a bit, just to kind of ensure that it sounded halfway decent. Got a glue compressor right here. Attack and ratio are all the way up, but the release is all the way down. With glue compressors, I like to do that, and then keep the threshold at about 0, and kind of just dial it back until it hits about 5, and then kind of inch up the makeup gain until this soft clipping light turns on. That usually yields the best results for me, but you know, I don't even know what I'm doing half the time, so. We have an EQ kind of just like really pumping a bit of the high end up here and cutting a lot of the low end out. And then again, we have just a utility doing some gain automation using a cut right here to make room for the initial hit of the drop and initial hit of the turnaround section. So like every 4 bars you get like, and then yeah, it goes into these chords. And before I forget, we also have a pretty cool silent bass. I like to do this a lot for melodic dubstep or future bass tracks that I work on. I'll take basically the root note of whatever chord it is, and I have a few of these silent super saw samples right here. And they just act as different sorts of layers in the song, or in the chord stack, and they really just add a ton of beef because they're really well done. Usually I have to like cut low end out because they're so heavy and well done, and filter them a bit. But yeah, if I ever need to just beef up a chord stack, I'll just drag one of these in here, and you can find these on Splice as well. I think they're like 1 credit each, so I just got all of them and they all work really well. So shout out Xylent. And then I have a neuro bass that I kind of just like made in a different project and sampled. And let me see. The Charge FM Neuro. This was from a Levitate video, I believe. I believe he has a video on how to make a neuro bass. So I followed that and tweaked it to my own liking, you know, added my own sort of flair on it. And what I'll do for a lot of like turnarounds or like initial hits of 4-bar sections is I'll take something like this or like a different sort of glitch or bass that I've made in a different project, and I'll kind of just tune it to the song, stretch and mangle it a bit, and yeah, got some cool resampling there. And so for this one, I think I tuned it up to, because I think it was G minor that we're working with. But yeah. In this cool little subsection right here, I have the trigger again, acting as a MIDI trigger for the drum rack. I put the original song in this sidechain group because I wanted to leave a little bit of room for just the sub group here. And this is just the hip hop sub from Ableton. But what I did to it was I added a bit of glue compression for just that, you know, kind of a little bit beefier effect. EQ'd out a bit of the warmer tones over here because there was already so much happening in the future bassy kind of chords. Used another kind of just, this is kind of just a like a backup side chain, just in case the shape of the shaper box isn't cutting through the way I'd like. So this is kind of just like a backup thing that I did. And then I checked it with the oscilloscope. And you have that really clean, just like sine wavy, I can't even draw it. Yeah, you have that clean kind of sine wavy thing happening right here. Every time the sub bass is hitting, and that's how you get your sub basses to hit really well. Just kind of tune it to just mess around with stuff and tune it to you get a halfway decent sine wave. But yeah, anyways, for the effects and drums and whatnot, not too much. Just some more risers and a crash cymbal right here, and some snare fills. But yeah, I honestly think that might be it. A lot of it is, again, just like a bunch of the different chords up here, and you know, what I decided to do for quick turnarounds like this, or stuff like that. The second drop is pretty much the same thing, except you have this almost fake out drop. Yeah. But yeah, for the most part, that's about it. And then the end is just, it's the original stuff right here, and then just again the reverby washed out outro that I did for the song. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright guys, so that was a breakdown of my remix of Excision and Whale's collab the last time. I'll leave a link down there in the description to the SoundCloud link if you want to go check it out. It's a free download, so you don't have to do anything for it. If you want to download it, play it out, feel free. Yeah. Genuinely hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe if you like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.